All right. I feel like I should have music playing in the background while I wait for people. All right. If there is anybody out there watching, I'd encourage you to accept the invite to the Google Hangout so that I can see you in here. Otherwise, if you're watching on the event page, it'd be probably really good if you click on the top right corner. There's a little Q&A section. If you could click on that and just write a question in. You can just type your name or whatever you want to write in there, just so that I know someone is out there. Otherwise, I'll just wait for people to be here before I kind of begin and see how I can help you present things online with PowerPoint and YouTube. Hey, all right. So we do have one person out there. Bruce, if you wanted to jump into the Google Hangout. Otherwise, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the videos that were in the email. Otherwise, I can go through kind of the step-by-step or the rationale behind using PowerPoint, or kind of go into any questions that you might have. And yeah, your the little thing up there is working. I can see your questions. There's sometimes a little bit of a delay if you do it that way. But like I said, if you log into your Gmail account, if you want to just jump in, you don't even have to have a camera or anything. You can just jump in here, and there's the chat portion of it. And I can send you another invite, or I can give you the address. Oh, that's no problem, Bruce. All right, so Bruce, since you might be the only one there, and like I said, and if you can stop me as I'm going along here, I will assume that you have watched the videos already. Maybe I shouldn't assume that. Maybe I'll just walk you through the PowerPoint, the ideas behind that. I'll kind of use the example PowerPoint that I had there, just to kind of show you how to record a video or a voiceover onto that PowerPoint and then upload it to YouTube. So I will. Yeah, I can send that invite again. Otherwise, usually if you're in Gmail, there's I think it's on the left-hand side for most people. There's a little section where it's got kind of somebody's having a video call for you. But I can send that out. And it looks like someone else is out there watching as well. Troy's in. So Troy, same thing. If you want to jump into the Google Hangout, you don't need to necessarily have the camera, just so the responses are a little bit faster that way. I sent it to tdyerks@gmail.com if that was your Gmail address. And while I'm doing that, let me show you where the other place you can look for that is. So Bruce and Troy, the other place, if you are on on the internet, you can just go to hangouts.google.com. You have to be logged in with your Gmail account. There'll be a little section over here on the right to log in with that, and you should have a section over here with invites where you've been invited to some of those as well. So that's another option for jumping in. All right, so I'm going to get started. Like I said, if you find those invites, you can. Otherwise, you can just kind of follow along. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. Otherwise, so using PowerPoint, and I'll bring up a PowerPoint here so we can take a look at it. There were a lot of reasons, I guess, for using or choosing PowerPoint. And I see, Troy, you just sent me that message that you have no invites. Let me throw it again out here to you. tdyerks@gmail.com. I'll invite you and we'll see if that pops up for you. If not, just go ahead and ask questions as I go along. This was basically the PowerPoint. The one that you're seeing here is the PowerPoint that was in the email that I sent, and kind of went through some of the reasons that I would use a presentation, especially in your online classes. Really, it's good for the teacher, but I think in a lot of cases when you guys are teaching classes, you're going to have students that you want to present information to you. There's a lot of apps that are out there that will do this, but Some of them require licensing. Some of them are a little bit tedious to use. I think most people are comfortable with this PowerPoint kind of format. And so that's the reason that I chose PowerPoint. And the other thing, especially at WLC for the students that you teach, they all have access to PowerPoint through their WLC email address. They can download it for free. So that would be another reason I might in some cases look at alternatives. And I can go through some alternatives for you as well when we take a look at it. But basically, being able to kind of give your students the ability to record something and then upload it to YouTube is kind of a big deal, I suppose. I did mention in the video that two of the big competitors out there, or two of the big names in the market for presentations, especially online presentations, are Voicethread. Voicethread was or is a really interesting tool that can be used to kind of have a group presentation. So I can put a slide up and then invite people to comment on that slide. So it's almost, if you think of like a discussion forum, but being done with recorded voice rather than being done with just typing and talking that way. It's interesting. My personal opinion is it can be a little clunky, and a lot of people have tried to use Voicethread to replicate the giving of a presentation and then submitting it online to an instructor in place of that class presentation where most people would use. So not quite what it was intended for. Prezi is another really good tool. It really kind of changes the way that you deliver a PowerPoint. Both of them have their merits. I'm a really big fan of Prezi, but it does not, Prezi doesn't have the ability to record a voiceover on it. So the only way to make really good use of it in a class like this is to use a third-party app, and I can show you that at the end of the conference or at the end of the presentation as well. So like I said, the presentation's up there and you can watch that in its entirety. But what's really important with a PowerPoint, and one of the things that I really like about doing a PowerPoint presentation and recording the voiceover, is that it does allow the students to record one slide at a time. So in order to do that, so if I have my PowerPoint created, and most students are actually really good at creating the PowerPoints, in PowerPoint, and it's got to be the desktop version, not the online version, you can go over to the slideshow and use the record slideshow in order to record the narrations. So as long as you have your microphone on your laptop, the only thing it doesn't do is put the little picture of the person down in the corner. But you can, and you can see it up here, the record the slideshow. And when you click on that, I usually try to record everything right from the beginning, but the beauty of it is if you screw up on a slide, you can re-record that slide. So I'm just going to hit start recording from the beginning. And then you do want it to record the animations and timings, and you want it to record the narration because that's the whole point. So you really just start the recording. What it does then is it starts this little dialog box running that shows you that you're recording the slide. And so right now it's recording what I'm talking or what I'm saying onto my first slide. The nice thing is, as I'm going along here, if I screw this up, I can just hit the repeat and start this over. So usually what I'm telling students is that I try to record this PowerPoint one slide at a time, but I do the whole thing. So I like to have a script or at least a really good outline of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to record the slide. And then just as I would if I were working and presenting this online, I would use the space bar. You can just click on the screen, whatever you want to do in order to go to the next slide. The problem is, and what happened when I did that, is I don't want to be talking when I switch to a slide like I just did. Because when I'm done, it's going to, in the recording, it's going to actually cut out a little bit of that. So I always tell people that when they're doing this, make sure that you have a good solid pause before going to the next slide. And then can give it a second before you start talking again. You can always cut out a little bit of that extra if it's too much, but that way you don't cut your voice off. So really, as you're going through here, you create that PowerPoint, and then you go to the slideshow and you do that. When you're all done, you can hit the close button and it will have recorded my voice onto those slides. And if I go to the slides that we were on when I was talking, you're just going to notice down in this corner here, I've got a little volume icon, and that is the voice that I recorded. And remember, it goes to each slide. So if I decided like, oh yeah, I did really well on the first 3, but maybe slide number 2 needs a little bit extra work, I can do that same process over again. Only now I'm going to have slide 2 selected. I'm going to go up to Slideshow. I'm going to record the slideshow, but instead of starting from the beginning, I'm going to start just on slide 2. So this is going to basically delete the information on slide number 2 and then re-record over it once I start. So we hit that same little thing, start recording with both of those. And now whatever I say on slide 2 is being re-recorded to slide number 2. I always tell people that if you're only doing slide 2, don't go to the next slide. And that's sometimes the mistake that I make a lot of times. I accidentally click to the next slide when I'm done, but I'm just going to use the little X up there and close it. And that re-records the things that I have on slide number 2. So so that's the part on the recording of that. So I'm going to just take a second because I know it might be a little bit behind on you guys, and just see if you had any questions on the recording portion of the slideshow. While I'm doing that, I'm just looking through the other questions that you have here as well. Usually it doesn't send you an email invite. What it sends you is a little video call invite. I can show you what that looks like. I'll invite a thing over here while I'm working on that. And awesome. Troy, I noticed you asked the question, or excuse me, was that Troy? Bruce made the comment on the screen part. Is it I'm going to guess because the Zoom, it's right now not being able on this Hangout to see the little buttons that I have at the very top, what they actually say. And so in which case, because that part, I can't zoom in on the Google Hangout part of it, but I can say when you're using Microsoft 2013, one of the things I've noticed for a lot of people is that they actually have this bar, this ribbon, I guess you would call it, across the top. A lot of times they have it hidden. So when you're taking a look at that, it's underneath the view. I think it's underneath the view. Actually, now or no, excuse me. It's not that part that they have hidden. It's this top, the home row that they have hidden. And that part now, I suddenly can't remember how you get the home row back. I think it's the quick access toolbar is the top. I'll have to look at that part. But anyway, up here, it's when you get into this, it's the slideshow, and then there's a little button that looks like a stopwatch. It's on there. It says record slideshow. All right, so not seeing any questions on the recording part. The next step, and I always will show this, is while you're in the YouTube, the nice part, and I don't know that you're going to hear this, but the nice part is you can go over each one of these slides And on the bottom right-hand corner, there is this, and I'll move it up to the middle, there's a little volume icon. And you'll notice when I hover over it, it gives me the option to play it. So I can play it like I just did. Because when I'm done, it's going to, in the recording, and you'll notice if you're able to hear, I don't know if it's going to play my system sounds for you, but as it goes through, you can hear what's being done. But the coolest part is that I can actually right click on it and, or excuse me, yeah, right click on it and hit the trim button. And then it gives you kind of a visual indicator of it. You can listen to it again, but you're going to notice, well, you probably can't notice because it's too small, but if I were to play this thing all the way through, it would get to the end, and it looks like there's about 2 seconds of silence at the end. So I can use these little guys to drag over that to kind of cut the silence off so that there's not a big pause at the end. And you can do the same thing on the first part of it. And so you can really start this thing right in the middle. Maybe you recorded it and in the middle you screwed up and decided, oh, I just want this part of it. So you can basically do some very small edits to the voice that you have in there, which is really nice. And again, to do that, you just find the little volume icon and right click on it. And then there's a trim button that's on there. All right, so that's really helpful. And then once you're done, I always encourage people to watch the entire thing. So just like you were actually going to present the slideshow, I can do the slideshow where it says start from the beginning, and you can just watch the whole thing and start this over. So usually what I'm telling, and I'm just going to escape it. So you can listen to it, make sure that there's no parts where it got cut off or anything like that. The other step is going to be making this thing available on YouTube. And there's other sites that you can do this with. It doesn't have to be YouTube, but really I picked YouTube because the same reason that I picked PowerPoint. I kind of explained this in the explanation. PowerPoint is kind of the Kleenex of what I want to say. It's the Kleenex of broadcasting. Or tissues, excuse me. Lost where I was going with that. Basically, when somebody asks you to hand them a tissue, even if it's not a Kleenex, maybe it's a Puffs Plus, they still ask for a Kleenex. You know, it's just that it's really become what it is. So people talk about PowerPoints even when they're not using PowerPoint to create it. And YouTube really is the place for online video. So I'm gonna jump over to my YouTube account here. And in your YouTube account, when you actually create an account and sign in, again, you'll notice that I'm signed in. I've got my little icon up in the right corner. You get, by default, when you sign up for it, and it's your Gmail account again, you get a channel. And most people's channels are empty. Mine has a bunch of videos that I've made for classes that I'm teaching and recorded. So you'll see I have a bunch up here. But really, that channel is tied to your Gmail account, tied to your Google account, and you can really upload videos pretty quickly. You'll notice right here I've got a little button that says upload. But before I upload something, I'm going to need to have the video file. So you'll want to make sure that you've got your YouTube channel set up. You're going to notice on the upload, and this is really important for people, especially, I mean, I use these two, public and unlisted, and I use private, I suppose, if I'm recording a video of like my nephews and things that I don't want everyone seeing. The difference, public, anybody can find your video. They can search for it on YouTube and find it. Unlisted means that you won't find it by searching for it. The only way to watch that video is to share the link with someone. So I'll go back to mine so you can see the difference. On mine, I've got a number of them that are unlocked here, meaning that they're public, but not all of them are actually listed. So I'll click on this one for you. and show you the share button that's underneath there. Gives you the link, so I can share that link. This video is actually unlisted, meaning you wouldn't be able to find it by searching, but I can share the link with you. The third option is private, which means the only way to share that video with someone is to invite them. And in your YouTube account, when you go to my channel again, at the very top, and it's going to be really small on your screen, there's a button that says Video Manager. So I'm going to click on that. Basically brings up all of your videos and shows you the things like this one's unlisted, this one's public because I felt some people could use it even if they weren't in one of my classes. The unlisted ones are usually ones that are specific to a class or a group of people. But on videos, if you end up having any of them that are private, which I don't see any at the moment that are, you can use the edit button next to the video, and there's going to be a little place where you can change it to whatever you want it to be and then share it. But you have to use a Gmail address or a Google account to share it, so not just an email account. Otherwise, that person's not going to be able to see it. I very rarely use that, the private one, but some people will use it in cases where they're recording something that might have some sensitive information in it. But again, the nice thing about YouTube is that, number one, it's free, and you can kind of create a video archive of the things that you're going to do. So in order to get that PowerPoint to YouTube, I'll jump back into my PowerPoint. Instead of saving this thing, like normally I would hit File, Save As, I'm going to hit File and choose the Export option. And when I click Export, there's one option for Create a Video. You can change the top one. It says presentation quality. You can choose what quality you want it. You know, I usually leave it at the highest one. It just is going to use a little bit more disk space and will take a little bit longer to upload to YouTube. Otherwise, I don't change this because you want the slides with timings and narrations. So you end up hitting create the video, and then it's not going to look a whole lot different. Once that thing gets going, you're going to be able to see. Let me hide this. Once that thing gets going, you're going to see a little thing down in the bottom that's creating the video. It looks like, oh, I have it on here. It'll look like this. It'll say creating video, and it'll have the name, and it'll have a little dialog box going across there. But you'll have to tell it where to save that, and then once you have that thing saved and that dialog is finished, you can take that video and just upload it to that YouTube account. So as you're going through, that's the basic premise of this one, is kind of using those two things. So again, any questions on the creating of the video or uploading it to YouTube? All right, I'm not seeing any questions on that. I did mention there are a couple of other apps, and I'll show you those if you want to make ones that are a little bit more sophisticated, like having your picture-in-picture. The two that I use are Google Chrome extensions. So you would use Google Chrome, and using Google Chrome, the extensions are Screencastify and or Snagit. So I'll just show you the spelling of that by sharing my screen again. So if I'm taking a look at this over here, you're going to notice on the top of my YouTube or on my Chrome browser, you got to use that one for both of those. You're going to notice one of the things up here is a little S that is Snagit, and it's going to be really tiny for you to see that. But both of those you can get by going to the Chrome Web Store, and I always just Google Chrome Web Store. And again, one of them is called Screencastify. And you'll notice it's right here in the middle, Screencastify, it's an extension. The other one is just called Snagit, S-N-A-G-I-T. Again, it's by TechSmith. Both of those basically give you a little option up at the top, and I can show you what it will look like when I start it. I'll hit the Screencastify. It'll ask me that if I can use all of my things like my microphone and webcam, etc. And then you can tell it whether or not you want it to record just a tab or a desktop or just your video camera. I always choose desktop. And when you hit start recording, it asks, since I have two screens, which desktop you want to do. So I'll click on the second screen. And you'll notice down here, it just starts recording whatever you're saying, as well as in this case, puts a little picture of me down in the corner, which I guess is nice. When you're done, you hit stop on the second screen, and you'll notice down here it just starts. It goes through and shows you the video that you just recorded, and then it gives you a really nice way at the very top. It's got this little icon that's like a sideways triangle. It says share, and you can upload that to YouTube, to your account, or to Google Drive. And so that's another way to do one if you wanted something maybe that's a little, if you wanted to present a Prezi online, that's the way that I would do that. Again, makes it kind of nice because it gives you that little screen down in the bottom right corner. It gives you a little screen to show you how to do that. So again, basically that presentation, both of the things that I just showed you are in the email that was sent out before. It's got those 3 videos right in the middle of the email, and I'd encourage you to take a look at those. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to give me a call. Otherwise, email me. You guys got my email. But I will be more than happy to go through it with you. And if you're ever in town, I can answer any questions or show you face to face. So hopefully that is a good start for you. Tried to keep it to 30 minutes. I missed by about 2, but I apologize. You know, this is the one thing I'm not a big fan of. I love Google Hangouts, but I'm not a big fan of the fact that it can be a little confusing for a lot of people on where those invites are. So so I'd love to, if you ever want to sit down or if you ever come through, I can show you where to find those, and we can test those, because people do have trouble typically with the invites. So otherwise, so I will say thanks for watching. This will be on YouTube, so you can watch it again later. I saw Bruce said that he has to bug out, so if you want to come back the next time, we can try that Google invite, or even if you just want to invite me to a Google Hangout sometime and I can answer any specific questions, you know, just throw me an invite, send me an email, however you want to do it. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later.